All right, so hopefully last night you were asked to do this, and hopefully you did it. All right, I unplugged and replugged in. I think this. So So hopefully get this out right now. 2-8. Get it out. Get it out. All right. Let's hope I can run now. See. Oh, good. All right. Got it. All right. Who looked at this and said, I can't do it, and then started crying and didn't do anything? Ray.
Yeah.
Walk me through this. What? Here's the thing. I've talked to 4 people about this since I assigned it. And all 4 people, all I told them is, well, work harder, think harder. And all 4 of them came up with at least 2 of those answers without even me saying more than that. So I'd like you to help me out just a little bit. Take a look at number 37. This is the original function, correct?
Yeah.
You know a lot about that function, don't you?
Yeah.
Could you find the slope of that function?
Yeah.
What is it?
1.
1. So the slope here is 1. Agree on that so far?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the equation for that function? Do you know it?
Y plus X.
Y equals X. Beautifully done. You also know the slope at a couple points, don't you? Because the slope's the same everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So at -3, or sorry, -2, yeah, -3 is on my graph. -3, my slope is equal to 1. At 0, my slope is 1, and so forth.
Well, I just said the answer was 1. I don't know how to get to that.
Okay, so now the next step is, I want to know what the graph of the derivative looks like.
Yeah.
So you have several choices here.
I just say 1.
It is 1. How do you graph 1? That's the weirdest choice I've ever heard. We can try it.
I don't know.
Okay.
What do you mean?
Well, you said the slope is 1. So I'm looking over here. Which one of these says the slope is 1?
If you look at like the other worksheet, you have some answers that are like 0 or -2. So I figured, well, you probably have 1 as an answer too.
Well, I'm not disagreeing. 1 is the answer. I'm just trying to get you to go one more step. What's 1?
Y is 1. Y equals 1.
What the function is y equals 1, right?
Yeah.
The derivative would be y equals 1.
Yeah.
Which one is a graph of y equals 1?
B.
B, that's the right answer.
Oh, I didn't know that these went together.
It makes it much harder when it says, select the graph.
I didn't read that.
That'd be really tough. Graphs that are forgiven, select the graph of f prime. Yeah. Okay, so that helps. Explains part of the problem, wasn't it? Now, you gave me other things that would have given me the answer, by the way. 1, y equals x. What if I took the derivative of that? What would it be?
1.
Y prime, raise its power, throw the 1 out in front, reduces power by 1, which just gets rid of the x, right?
Yeah.
So I get y prime equals 1, so I'm looking for a graph of y prime equals 1, which is that one there. The slope at -3 is 1, so this graph has that. This graph doesn't, this graph doesn't, this graph doesn't. I'm already done. At 0, it's 1. You also told me at 3, it's 1.
Yeah.
It's the only graph that has those 3 things.
Okay.
That's 3 ways you could have done it based on what you told me. Now that you know there are graphs over here, that's important.
Yeah.
Let's look at 38.
Okay.
I'll give you like 30 seconds more because you didn't know about the graphs.
Yeah, I don't know if that will be much.
I don't know if it will or not either, but I'd like you to think about it before I give you answers. I know you can get if I give you enough time to think about it.
I'm kind of just confused on this concept overall.
Fair enough.
I don't know about
What do you know about this graph 38?
Well, it's y equals x squared.
Y equals x squared, which means its derivative would look like what?
Y prime equals what? 2x?
2x. So I'm looking for a graph that looks like y prime equals 2x. Well, can you tell me where the slope is roughly here? At -2, what's my slope roughly? You can't tell me because of the curve, but what is it roughly?
Like 2.
And would it be negative?
-2.
So it's like -2 here.
Yeah.
And then what is it at 0?
0.
So at 0, I'd expect it to be 0. And then over here, I expect it to be like, you said positive 2?
Yeah.
So you said negative 2, here's a positive 2. So, okay, so all those things are now factored in. Which one of these is the correct answer?
I don't know, maybe D.
Maybe D. Maybe D is the correct answer. So tell me why maybe D is the correct answer.
Well, because the other one's like A is too steep and C is just weird looking, and so I'm thinking D because it is.
Weird looking is not disqualifying, just for the record. It's got to be one of these, right? So there. But I'm not against weird looking because.
There's nowhere on C where the slope is greater than 0, so.
Okay.
I'm thinking it's not C.
Okay.
But my issue with D is that at 0, the slope is not 0.
But this is a graph of slopes.
Yeah.
So at 0, it should be 0, shouldn't it? And it is.
The slope is 0.
It doesn't matter. This is a graph of the slopes.
Okay.
So therefore, I should expect at negative 2, I should get negative 2 according to you, right?
Yeah.
So if we go out to negative 2, I got negative 3, but we were estimating. I'm willing to live with that. And at 2, I'm at 4 or something. So we underestimated on both of these, but we're okay.
Yeah.
More importantly, you know this is a parabola, right? You told me that. You said it's y equals x squared, right?
Yeah.
So the equation for the graph should be y prime equals 2x, agreed?
Yeah.
Which way? 2x is a line, isn't it?
Yeah. So
Which one of the remainders is a line? Only D. So that's 3 different ways you can figure that out. And it might sound like I'm belaboring this point, but I will tell you right now, these are legit AP questions right here. Like if you take the test, they would not, this is like right on their test. If this is a function, what's the graph of the derivative? And this is a hard problem. These are going to be hard all the way through here. You have like, one of these again, okay? So this is our first whack at it, and that's fair. Let's keep going. You want to do 39 or 40? You get to pick.
40.
We're getting rid of that graph and that graph. Let's do 40. 40, what kind of graph is that?
Y equals square root of x.
No.
Y equals x.
That's 39. That's y equals square root of x, right?
I want to do 39 instead.
You sure?
I don't know what the other one is.
I think your instincts were better, but we'll go ahead and do this. Y equals x to the 1/2 power.
I'm pretty sure 39 is A and 40 is C, just because 40 has those two split, like, they're not split, but those two separate lines.
Yeah.
And so does C, and then A
'Cause-
has that curve.
Okay, so let's stop a second because you said you're pretty sure about 40. Let's talk about 40 then. 40 has 2 separate lines, but it has 2 separate slopes, doesn't it?
Yeah,
What's my slope over here?
like -1.
-1. So for -3, my slope would be -1. For -2, my slope would be -1. For -1, my slope would be -1. Agreed?
Yeah, so I'm right.
And then past that point, at 1, it would be, what's the slope over here? 1. So at 1, I should be at 1. At 2, I'm at 1. 3, I'm at 1. And 4, I'm at 1. So this is the right answer. I want to add one more thing, though. And this is going to be the beginning of a new discussion that we're going to keep having throughout this semester as well. Which is, and you're the first one, so I'm sorry I'm throwing you down a rabbit hole right now. What's the slope here?
1? I don't know.
Well, it's 1 if you're over here. It's -1 if you're over here. What is it at that point exactly in between the two?
0?
The slope is 0. Feels like 0, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I don't know what else.
But it's 0 when we've got a curve to it, right? At some point, it's going to be doing 0, then it's going to go back up slope-wise. This one doesn't do that. It's -1, and then it's suddenly 1. And at this point in between, it's
nothing.
neither. So you can't see it on this graph, but both of these should be open circles. Go ahead and make those open for me so you know there's no derivative there. You can't describe a slope of a point.
Okay, how do you find the derivative of y equals square root of x?
Nice. Well, the first thing we do is we write it as y equals x to the 1/2 power. Don't we?
Yeah.
And then what would we do?
Well, then I get stuck.
Well, then we throw the 1/2 out in front, and we subtract 1.
So it would be y to the 1/2.
x to the negative 1/2, right? Subtract 1.
Y equals x to the negative 1/2.
Y equals 1/2, throw the 1/2 out in front. X to the negative 1/2, right? Subtract 1 from the power. All right? All right. You probably don't like it in that form.
No, I don't.
So our derivative, we can rewrite as, and I'm running out of space here, so I'm sorry I'm counting everything, but 1/2, and then we'd end up with 1 over like the square root of x,
1/2.
right? Because negative 1/2 power means 1 over the square root of x, right?
Yeah.
All right, what if I plug a 0 into that?
Then you're gonna get 0 on the bottom.
Which means it's undefined, right? So this thing has to have an undefined slope or an infinite slope at the x equals 0.
Yeah. So is that why it's either?
Well, it's going to infinity,
Oh, okay.
right?
Yeah.
It never has a slope at 0 because it doesn't cross this line.
Uh-huh.
It's suddenly heading up towards infinity here. And then does the slope get less steep and less steep as we go?
Yeah.
So the slope should getting lower and lower and lower and lower numbers.
Okay.
But it doesn't look like it ever gets flat, so it never gets down to 0.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Okay, wait. What did we say the graph was for 40?
40, we never said. It is the absolute value function,
Yeah. Okay.
which we don't have a derivative rule for. So you couldn't just take the derivative and hope for the best.
Okay.
Maybe more on that at another time. All right, I have 43, 44, 45, and 46 for you to do. Have at. That didn't work.